Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. We got 3 football games as always. Should be an awesome day. We got all 3 games are awesome too. This is going to be a fun day. Going to go through all 3 in this video. Let's do it. I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. All right, let's start off with the early game. We got Green Bay on the road at Detroit. The streak comes to an end, and the streak I'm referring to is Dan Campbell coming off a loss. So this is last week's graphic. He was 13 in a row, 13-0, 13 against the spread, and after his last 13 losses, comes to an end. So it's now 13-1. This is obviously also a revenge game for Detroit. These two teams met in the opener. Green Bay got the win, 27-13. Now, that game back in week 1 was really the story of 2 halves. Green Bay came out and just caught Detroit napping. Jordan Love connected on a few big plays. They jumped out to, I think it was a 17-3 lead. Detroit's defense did eventually get it together. In fact, if you look at the Packers' passing numbers in that game, in the first half, 10.44 yards per pass attempt, 147.7 passer rating. In the second half, they didn't do much of anything. They weren't able to run the ball. They actually weren't able to run the ball pretty much the entire game. But in the second half, 3.5 yards per pass attempt, 72.2 passer rating. By then, Green Bay already had a pretty sizable lead, and Detroit couldn't get anything going offensively. So, look, the Packers' offense looked great for the first 3 drives and then didn't do much of anything the rest of that game. Like I said, they weren't really able to run the ball. 3.3 yards per carry in that week 1 game against Detroit, 79 yards rushing in the game. So coming into this one, I would imagine Green Bay might struggle to run the ball again, just like they did in week 1. They're going to be missing their center, Jenkins. He's going to miss another game. Lions might be getting Marcus Davenport back as well. So adding even more depth and rotation to that defensive line. Detroit's been strong against the run all year. I mean, they've been strong overall, but they're 9th in success rate per rush, 5th in EPA per rush. So I don't think we can count on the run being there for Green Bay. Where this Detroit defense might be in trouble is right here, the pass rush. This Lions pass rush has been really streaky. It shows up at times, but as a whole, it hasn't been the best pass rush in the world. We know Jordan Love has been absolutely dominant from a clean pocket. There's also injury concerns here. Kirby Joseph has been ruled out. He's going to miss, I believe, his 5th or 6th straight game. Cornerback Terrion Arnold might be back, which would be huge. Also, DJ Reed is back at corner for the Lions as well. So no Kirby Joseph at safety. As far as the Packers offense, same too. Jaden Reed, I read, has a chance of returning. That's not confirmed. Josh Jacobs looks like he's going to be back. Still no Tucker Kraft. I think Tucker Kraft might be out for the season. If not the season, certainly a while. So same injury report, no Jenkins, no Tucker Kraft for the Packers. Here's the thing. Jordan Love hasn't been playing that well, and I'm not sure what to do with this information. I mean, in his last 4 games, an 84.8 passer rating. He's been under a lot of pressure, too. Pressure on over 41% of his dropbacks. I mean, he played Carolina. If it was just Minnesota, that'd be acceptable. Maybe even the Eagles as well. But, I mean, the Giants and Carolina, Jordan Love pressured on over 41% of his dropbacks in the last 4 games, and the production has fallen way off. Just 190.5 pass yards per game. So Jordan Love, and I'm not saying it was strictly because of Tucker Kraft, but ever since Tucker Kraft got hurt, Jordan Love really hasn't looked the same. He's holding on to the football too long. He looks indecisive. He's been pressured at a high rate, like I said. And this Detroit pass defense, I know the secondary has had all kinds of issues this year. Look at their last 4 games before the Giants game. I know Jameis Winston had a big game throwing on Detroit last week, but look at the 4 games before that. 5.8 yards per pass attempt allowed, under 44% success rate per dropback, allowing less than 180 passing yards per game. So this Detroit defense, I mean, this secondary's dealt with injuries, but no one's really throwing the ball on Detroit. So as much as I think the lack of a Lions pass rush, this should be a really favorable matchup for Jordan Love, I'm not really sure, because the Lions should be able to take the run away. No one's really been throwing the ball in Detroit outside of Jameis Winston, and that's kind of a weird data point. Because, I mean, there's a new play caller there, a new quarterback. I mean, who has film on what the Giants offense is doing right now? They were just scoring on Green Bay in 20-mile-an-hour winds as well. So I think that Giants team, the current constructed Giants team, that offense at least, is a little bit of a wild card when we're looking at this data. So as a whole on this side of the ball, like I said, there should be opportunities for Jordan Love to make some throws, but this Lions defense has played really well recently outside of the Giants game, and Jordan Love doesn't look all that great. I'm not sure if the run's going to be there. I think Detroit could play a pretty good defensive game in this one. And when we get to the other side of the ball, I mean, is Green Bay going to be able to keep Detroit from running the ball? Now, there's no center for the Lions. He's just been ruled out. Glasgow's been officially ruled out. That just happened this morning. The other 3 offensive linemen are listed as questionable, but from what I'm reading, they're all going to play. Also, no Brock Wright, no Khalif Raymond. So the Lions have some injury concerns on the offensive side of the ball, without a doubt. A couple injury concerns on the Packers defense as well. Quay Walker listed as questionable. Also, Nixon might not play. It's probably their best corner right now. Well, no, I think he would be their best corner. So a couple question marks on the Packers defense as well. What I'm really looking at with this Packers defense is right here. Can we count on Green Bay to stop the run? It's kind of looking like stopping the run is going to be the weakness of this Packers defense. Remember, I talked about it a few weeks ago. You brought in Micah Parsons, and he's made some crazy plays. He's starting to emerge as kind of the leader of that defense. You got rid of Kenny Clark. And if you look at their last 5 games, they're allowing 4.2 yards per carry, over 120 rushing yards per game, 43.5% success rate per rush. Teams are handing the ball off against Green Bay, and the Packers defense is struggling to get off the field. And look at the opponents. The Steelers, the Panthers, the Eagles have struggled to run the ball all year. The Giants, the Vikings have been running the ball a little bit. Would you take any of those rushing attacks over the Lions rushing attack at Ford Field? Because I wouldn't. This is probably going to be a tougher test on the ground than any of these teams. And we're talking about a Detroit offense that seems to be figuring it out on the ground. In their last 3 games, they're averaging 7.4, that's not a typo, 7.4 yards per carry, over 179 rushing yards per game, 53.8% success rate per rush. This is the team you want to see when you're struggling to stop the run? I mean, I personally think there's multiple paths to a Lions win here. I think they can win this game with their defense. I think they can win this game on the ground. I also think Jared Goff can go off in this game. We know how dangerous the Packers pass rush can be, right? With Micah Parsons, they got some rushers there off the edge. But that Packers pass rush has also been pretty silent at times as well. And if Nixon doesn't play in the secondary, I mean, Goff at home in Ford Field where he's been better, I think the Lions receivers, even without Laporta, I think they can piece up Green Bay secondary as well. So I also think there's a path via Jared Goff throwing the ball. I think they're capable of winning a shootout against this Packers team as well. That's now not how I see the game going. I think they're going to run the ball. What I'm saying is I think there's multiple paths to Detroit winning this game. The only path to a Packers win, in my opinion, is Jordan Love going completely nuclear, which, by the way, is very possible indoors at Ford Field against a Lions pass rush that doesn't generate a ton of pressure. There's definitely a path to Jordan Love going nuclear here, but he hasn't really been playing that well. You combine all that with the fact that we're on a short week, and I tend to slide my number about a half point shaded towards the home team on these short weeks. NFL home teams on Thursdays in the last 3 seasons, 34-16 straight up, 26-23-1 against the spread. So always slide my number about a half point towards the home team here. I bet this one early. I'm a Detroit minus 2.5. It looks like you still could get a juiced 2.5. I wouldn't play it at 3. I played Detroit minus 2.5 because I believe the number should be 3. So slight edge there. I'm on Detroit minus 2.5. I think the Lions win this one and get their revenge. Yeah, I'm on the Lions. Kansas City Chiefs on the road in Jerry World for the second game of this slate. There was a time where betting on the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day was a very lucrative decision. The Troy Aikman era, the Tony Romo era. Betting on Dallas in recent years has not been profitable on Thanksgiving Day. They're 3-7 against the spread in the last 10 Thanksgiving Day games, so has not been profitable recently. And as underdogs, it's actually surprising to see Dallas is almost never underdogs on Thanksgiving Day. I think the last time was 2017. The time before that was 2010. So it doesn't happen very often. They've actually never won. Oh, no, this is the last 30 years. They've never won a Thanksgiving Day game as an underdog. It's only happened 6 times in 30 years. They're 0-6, 2-4 against the spread in those spots. So we're seeing the Cowboys as an underdog on Thanksgiving Day, which is a rare occurrence. Also, something we didn't expect here, we're seeing the Chiefs, Cowboys in Dallas on week 13. Neither team is currently in a playoff spot, which I suppose is slightly unexpected. Maybe not the Dallas side as much. The Kansas City side probably a little more surprising than the Dallas side. Both these teams are coming off huge comeback wins that ended with a walk-off game-winning field goal. Chiefs defeat Indianapolis at home 23-20. I was happy to get the push there. Really wanted to win. They had a chance to score, and they had a chance to score in the fourth quarter, and they would have won by 4, or they would have been up by 4. I would have covered my -3 bet, but got the push in overtime. Dallas kicks the game-winning field goal. Eagles fumble a punt. Actually, I don't even think the Cowboys scored on that. No, the Eagles fumbled a punt. Then the Cowboys went for it on 4th and goal on the 1, didn't get it, and then the Cowboys got the ball back and drove down to kick the game-winning field goal. So both these teams coming off huge wins here. So we're talking about Kansas City's offense, Patrick Mahomes here against this new-look Dallas defense. And we know when it comes to the Cowboys defense, we probably throw out the year-long numbers. I mean, 31st in success rate, 29th in EPA per play. If you've watched Dallas play the last couple of weeks, I think we can all agree that they're not this bad. They're no longer one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Now, how good do we think this defense is? I suppose that's a separate question, but we know they're not this bad. This new-look Dallas defense has been absolutely lights out against the run. We've seen 2 games since the Quinnen Williams, since the Logan Wilson, since the safeties came back from injuries. We've seen 2 games of this new-look Cowboys defense. They're allowing just 3.14 yards per carry, under 46 rushing yards per game, under 25% success rate per rush is beyond elite. So we've seen 2 lights-out performances against the run. Now, the Raiders haven't been able to run the ball on anybody all year, and even Philadelphia has really struggled to get the run game going. So we do have to consider the opponents, but the Kansas City rushing attack, it's been about average, slightly above average. They're 14th in success rate per rush, 11th in EPA per rush. They are expected to get Pacheco back for this one, but I mean, with Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams there at defensive tackle, I think the Cowboys are able to keep Kansas City from running the ball in this game. I also don't think it's crazy that Dallas is able to generate some pressure in this one. We know the Cowboys defense has had too many problems to even list this season. The Cowboys defense has had mountains of problems, but pressuring the passer really hasn't been one of them. They've been an average to even a slightly above average pass rush this year. They're actually 5th in pressure rate, 18th in time to pressure. So I also don't think it's crazy that Dallas is able to generate some pressure in this game. The Chiefs are missing an offensive lineman. Their starting right guard, Trey Smith, is going to miss this game. So yeah, I think the Cowboys are able to generate some pressure. The part of this matchup that I absolutely hate for the Dallas defense is the secondary. Patrick Mahomes should have no problems piecing up this Dallas Cowboys zone all afternoon. He's been great against zone coverage all year. This is a Dallas defense that lives in cover 2 and cover 3. 61% of the Cowboys defensive snaps this year are either cover 2 or cover 3. Patrick Mahomes has been arguably the best quarterback in the NFL against cover 2 this year. He's averaging 11 yards per attempt, 11 yards per pass attempt, passer rating over 123. Against cover 2. He's also amongst the top of the NFL against cover 3 as well. So look, the Cowboys might be able to take the run away. They might be able to generate some pressure, but this secondary, Mahomes should be able to piece these guys up. Now, here's where this matchup gets weird. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes on the road. The Chiefs have not been good on the road this year. In fact, I believe they only won 1 road game all year. I'm pulling it up now. Lost to Denver, lost to Buffalo, lost to Jacksonville. Yes, they have 1 road game all year. It was week 3 against the Russell Wilson Giants. That's the only road game they've won all year. The Chiefs offense has some of the most dramatic home away splits in the NFL. Look at Patrick Mahomes' numbers on the road this year. An 80.7 passer rating on the road. He struggled from a clean pocket. He struggled under pressure. I mean, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been good on the road. They're 1-4 in their road games? If you count the Chargers, that makes them 1-4 in their road games so far this year. This has looked like a completely different offense on the road. Now, Patrick Mahomes' hometown, Tyler, Texas, is very close to Dallas. It's about an hour and 40 minutes away, according to Google. Apparently, he's got a huge suite with a ton of his friends and family from his hometown. So maybe this isn't that much of a road game because Patrick Mahomes' entire hometown is going to be there in a mega suite in Jerry World. So maybe it's not that much of a road game here for Patrick Mahomes, but that's kind of throwing the wrench into things because personally, I think this is a great matchup for Mahomes. I think he could have a very successful day throwing the ball. I mean, AT&T Stadium, ideal conditions for scoring points. I think he could piece up the Cowboys zone. I just hate to lay points on the road with Patrick Mahomes because he just really hasn't been good on the road. But this isn't Denver. this isn't Buffalo. This is Jerry World, ideal conditions for a quarterback. So I personally think Mahomes is going to play well. But if those home-away splits are scaring you, I can't say I don't understand it. So I could see the argument on both sides. I personally think Mahomes is going to play well. Now, when we get to the other side of the ball, we've got the Cowboys offense against the Chiefs defense. And based on the full season numbers, you would think this is a favorable matchup for Dallas offensively. They're 7th in success rate, 6th in EPA per play. The Chiefs defense, 18th and 15th. We also know Dak Prescott in this Cowboys offense at home in AT&T. I mean, they're a different kind of beast. What are they averaging? Like 34 points per game at home or something. And that dates back multiple years. Dak Prescott in 2023 at home had video game numbers. He always tends to play better in this building. So looking at the full season numbers, you think, oh, okay, the Cowboys are going to be able to move the ball pretty fluently. Here's the thing. Kansas City's full season numbers don't tell the whole story. This Chiefs defense is playing significantly better as of late. I mean, we just saw them play the Indianapolis Colts, who one of the most efficient offenses in the NFL so far this year. They held them to 20 points, 5.2 yards per play, success rate under 39%. Chiefs defense played great against the Colts. And we're talking about a Cowboys offensive line who, by the way, has been great this year in pass protection, but they're going to be missing their left tackle, Tyler Guyton. I don't know if that's definitely official, but apparently he was seen in a walking boot or something. So from what I read, I very seriously doubt that he's going to play. And that could be a serious problem against Spagnuolo's blitz packages. I mean, this is a Kansas City pass rush. Spagnuolo's known for being very creative with his blitz packages. I mean, he'll come out and do something he's never done before. He's a very tough DC to prepare for. So even though I trust Dak Prescott in this building, I also trust Spagnuolo as a DC. And like I said, Kansas City's defense, if you take out the first few games, the numbers look a lot better for this defense. Honestly, there's one data point that's throwing me off here, because I think everything's lined up for a Kansas City -3 bet. That's where I want to be at. Spoilers. I want to be on Kansas City -3. You know what's throwing me off? This data point right here. Week 9 on the road in Buffalo. Because if you take out this one data point, I could be like, Chiefs defense is lights out. Recently, they're playing solid defense week after week. I trust the Chiefs defense to force Dak into a turnover. I think Mahomes is going to have a good game. I'm taking the Chiefs -3. That's where I would be at. If it wasn't for this freaking game right here, Week 9 on the road in Buffalo, the Chiefs defense got cooked. 6.9 yards per play, 60% success rate. They could not get off the field against the Bills. And this one data point has me thinking like, oh, well, maybe the Chiefs defense can't be trusted against these elite explosive offenses like Dallas at home is. So this one game is throwing me off. I'm not going to let one data point take me off my my pick here. It's still Kansas City -3. But if it wasn't for that Buffalo game, I probably would bet this. It's Kansas City -3, but I didn't pull the trigger on this one. Also, Hard Knocks in season has been filming in Dallas this week, so maybe some distractions there. Yeah, give me Chiefs -3. Last game of the day. Cincinnati is on the road in Baltimore, and obviously the lead story here, the return of Joe Burrow. Now, I'm not sure if it's actually been confirmed, but judging by everything that's being put out, it seems like Joe Burrow is going to play in this game. Now, he's had problems against Baltimore. He's actually 3-6 lifetime against the Ravens, but 2 of his wins came against the Ravens with no Lamar Jackson. When Lamar Jackson plays against Joe Burrow, Burrow's just 1-6 in those games. We've seen some great ones, though. He's 3-4 against the spread. We've seen some great matchups between these two. So Joe Burrow is back. However, he's just 1-6 lifetime against Lamar Jackson. But in addition to Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase is now back. Now, I don't have a back from suspension graphic. It says back from injury because that's the graphic I have. But obviously, he's back from a suspension. T. Higgins is not going to play, though. He just got injured last week. P. Ryan's back. I think he might have missed the last couple games. So Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Samaje P. Ryan, all back for this Cincinnati offense here. And honestly, I want to give Baltimore's defense some credit. They're playing much better. I've been vocal about that. So it's not like I've been a Ravens defense denier or anything. They're certainly better than these full season numbers show. They're 14th in success rate, 18th in EPA per play. They've been better than that as of late. This Cincinnati offense, though, I think they're going to have a ton of flexibility in this game. The weather's supposed to be pretty good. The run game's been there for the Bengals. They're actually one of the most efficient rushing attacks in the NFL this year, which doesn't even make sense. But on the season, this isn't like week 4. It's week 13. They're 4th in success rate per rush, 2nd in EPA per rush. And with Joe Burrow being back in place of Falco, we now have the added threat of downfield throws. Not that Joe Flacco was incapable of throwing the ball downfield, but Joe Flacco gets the ball out quick as hell. People say it's because he's scared of getting hit. I honestly think that's just the best way the offense functions with him in there. He has limited mobility. He can't extend the play. So if the first read's not there, what is he really going to do? So I think that's just the most efficient way to run the offense with Flacco. He gets the ball out quickly, not a ton of time for downfield routes to develop. So with Joe Burrow being back, with Joe Burrow being back, we now have the added threat of throwing the ball downfield. So I think Cincinnati has a ton of flexibility here. The run should be there against a limited Ravens defensive line. And that's another thing. This Ravens defense, it's been much better. I love this secondary. Roquan Smith's the man. But this defensive line is hobbled. They are missing 3 starters for the year. So Cincinnati's run game has been efficient enough, and their offensive line hasn't been great, but it hasn't been practical joke terrible. I think the Bengals' run game has been efficient enough where Baltimore might have to commit something extra to take it away. I mean, it's been one of the most efficient run games in the NFL. Baltimore's defense, it's got talent everywhere, but their strength is not staying on the line of scrimmage. We saw Cleveland driving them off the line of scrimmage a little bit. We even saw the Jets doing it a little bit. So Cincinnati's run game and that offensive line, I think they're able to hand the ball off and take 4 or 5 to a point where Baltimore might have to commit something extra to stop that from happening. I mean, again, Cincinnati, in their last 5 games, they're averaging 6 yards per carry, over 49% success rate per rush. I think this Bengals rushing attack is dangerous enough to make Baltimore's defense have to account for it, which should open up opportunities for Joe Burrow to connect on a big play or two. And Baltimore's defense, like I said, they've been great. In their last 5 games, they're allowing just 13.4 points per game. 5.7 yards per play is pretty 40% success rate is good. Look at the opponents. The Bears offense has been okay. Miami, Minnesota, Cleveland, the Jets. I mean, this defense hasn't exactly been through the gauntlet. Joe Burrow back, this Cincinnati offense, this is the most explosive offense that the Ravens have seen in quite a while. So, yeah, I think the Bengals are going to come out with one last fastball here on offense, and I think they're able to move the ball and score points in this game on Baltimore's defense. Now, on the other side of the ball, we have an obvious mismatch here between the Ravens offense and the Bengals defense. Baltimore, obviously the numbers are a little skewed from the games Lamar Jackson didn't play. On the season, they're 19th in success rate, 17th in EPA per play. The Bengals defense, dead last and dead last. So yes, we're looking at a mismatch here. If I'm being honest, I'm not really worried about Lamar Jackson's recent struggles. I know it's a popular talking point. And I'm not saying we completely ignore these games. Maybe it's a little bit concerning, a 77 passer rating in his last 3 games. But, I mean, they played Minnesota. That's the best pass rush in the NFL, one of the toughest defenses to throw on. Then they played Cleveland, another one of the best defenses in the NFL. And there were 25-mile-an-hour wins in that game. And, look, struggling against the Jets defense, that's a little bit concerning. So I'll say this. If Lamar Jackson has another poor game throwing the ball, another inefficient game throwing the ball at home against Cincinnati, then I'll agree it might be time to be a little bit concerned. But Minnesota, Cleveland, and 25-mile-an-hour wins. As of right now, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing one bad game. So, yeah, I'm not really concerned with Lamar Jackson. Keep in mind, he is playing Cincinnati with no Trey Hendrickson. Hendrickson has been ruled out for this one. The rest of the Bengals defense is healthy, though. This is a Cincinnati pass rush that struggles to generate pressure. Although I will say, Bengals pass rush has actually generated some pressure a little bit in the last few games. I still think we have to evaluate the Bengals as one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL. Their pressure numbers from the last few games actually look pretty good. But we're talking about Lamar Jackson against the Bengals defense, probably going to have run support, probably going to have time in the pocket. And speaking of run support, I'm also not really reading too much in. I mean, there was one game against the Jets. I think it's a little bit concerning. 3.1 yards per carry, under 22% success rate per rush. The Ravens really couldn't do anything in that Jets game, but I'm not going to let one bad game against the Jets erase the previous 5 where they were basically steamrolling everybody on the ground. So I'm not going to let one bad game take me off the Ravens rushing attack. This is one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. And I'm really not reading into the last 2 games for Cincinnati either, because, you can poke holes in this Ravens offense. The Bengals have played great defense against the run in their last 2 games. Under 32% success rate per rush, just 3.9 yards per carry allowed. It's against Pittsburgh and New England, 2 teams that can't really run the ball. But what I'm saying is you can find a path to the Bengals playing a good defensive game here. The Bengals have been great against the run the last 2 games. The Baltimore couldn't run the ball on the Jets. Lamar Jackson hasn't had an efficient game throwing the ball in 4 weeks, which is true. So you can paint a path. You can find a path to the Bengals playing a good defensive game here, but I don't think that's responsible. It's a division game. It's the Bengals defense at home in Baltimore. I think the Ravens are going to move the ball in this one. So where does all that leave us in terms of betting this game? Well, here's the thing. I think Cincinnati, like I said before, has one great fastball left in them. You got to keep in mind, Cincinnati's season is not over. The AFC North is in shambles right now. The Ravens and Steelers are tied in first place at 6-5. Cincinnati still plays the Ravens twice. So if Cincinnati wins out, that automatically puts the Ravens at 7 losses. So if Cincinnati wins out, they'll go 9-8. The Ravens are already at 7 losses. So if Cincinnati wins out, they only need the Ravens to lose one other game, and they will be in first place. I know the Steelers are also in the conversation, but keep in mind, the Steelers have a gauntlet of a remaining schedule. The Steelers might not. The Steelers might finish 8-9. Now it's Tomlin. I'm sure he'll finish 9-8, and I'm sure they'll throw him a parade for mediocrity like they always do. But the Steelers have some tough games. They go to Detroit. They play Baltimore twice. They play Kansas City. I think the Steelers have a gauntlet of a remaining schedule. So if Cincinnati wins out, they are very much all they need. If Cincinnati wins out, they need the Ravens to lose one more game. That's it. And they can win this division. So I think with Burrow back, Thanksgiving Day, a division game, I think Cincinnati's got one great fastball. We've seen these two teams play some bangers before. I got a great number in this one. I'm on Cincinnati. I got on it early. I'm on plus 8.5. I'm on the Bengals, though. Would I take it at plus 7? Probably. Let's go. Bengals up.